Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, today's guest truly represents the American dream. As a native Houstonian in Texas and proud graduate of Jack Yates Senior High School, Myoshia Boykin-Anderson saw some of life's most difficult times. But she didn't let that stop her from striving for a better future and a career in technology. And way back in November 1998, with no savings and no college degree, she got her first taste of entrepreneurship by starting her own company. And she grew it into a multi-six-figure operation before closing it in 2007. But then bounced back and launched her second company back in 2009 and is currently the award-winning founder and CEO of one of the leading IT consulting companies in the US. And that company is called AndTech Solutions. And under her leadership, over the past 11 years, AndTech has grown into a multi-seven-figure consulting firm providing custom application development and other tech services to some of the top US companies and organizations. And they've implemented health plans responsible for managing over 56 million members across 25 states and consulting with small businesses in creating custom application solutions to meet those tech challenges. But it's an inspirational tech story with a huge human element to it. And I want to share it far and wide with the world. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Houston, Texas, so we can speak with Myoshia Boykin-Anderson about all this and much more. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Yes, thank you so much for having me today, Neil. I'm super excited about being here. My name is Myoshia Boykin-Anderson. I am a serial entrepreneur. I like to say I have been an entrepreneur for 23 years, and my current business is my second one. It is called AndTech Solutions. I launched it in January of 2009. And at AndTech Solutions, we specialize in large-scale system implementations, primarily in the healthcare space. So we do a lot of implementations and application configuration for a lot of the medical management systems that are out there for some of the top Fortune 500 healthcare organizations across the country. I am also the owner of AndTech X, where we bring that same level of technical expertise from the Fortune 500 corporate arena. We offer those services to small and medium businesses. So that is AndTech X, and we specialize in developing custom web apps and mobile apps and other integration of the tools that small and medium businesses need to utilize to operate their businesses every day.
Fantastic. And like you said, you are a serial entrepreneur. You've got a huge passion for technology. So I've got to ask, what's the story behind your career there? Where did your passion for technology come from? And how did it lead to Tech Solutions? And what problems did you set out to solve right from the beginning?
So I'll tell you, my love for technology started in high school. When I tell my backstory, my upbringing, my childhood, growing up was not pretty. It wasn't a pretty sight for me. It was wreaked with, poverty and the circumstances that come around that. So in high school, in the 10th grade, I took a computer class. And it was interesting, Neil, because that class, I believe, truly transformed my world. And of course, being an adult and having hindsight, and they say hindsight is 2020, looking back at it, I think my love for technology was developed because when I sat in front of a computer, I could solve problems. And there was so much in my life that I couldn't solve. I couldn't solve the fact that we were poor. I couldn't solve the fact that my mother was on drugs. I couldn't solve any of the ills in my world. But when I sat in front of that computer, you could give me a problem and I could fix it. And I think that's why I fell in love with it. You know, my history in technology has all been centered around solving issues, being analytical, being presented with the problem, strategizing about what the solution is. So that's kind of how all of this got started. My company names, the first one was Boykin Business Solutions, was a little derivative of my last name, my maiden name, which is Myoshia Boykin. So my first company was called Boykin Business Solutions. And in that company that I started in 1998, I was able to provide solutions for law firms that needed technology to propel them into, the Y2K, if you will. And my company now, AndTech Solutions, is still around providing solutions to people. So a lot of what I do is strategy, and it's all around solving folks' solutions by leveraging technology.
Absolutely love that. And such a powerful story behind it as well. And just to bring to life the kind of difference that you're making here, what are some of the ways that your clients have used your custom tech solutions to help them save them, if we're honest with each other, a ton of time and money, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. And that's what it really boils down to. It literally boils down to buying back your time. And that's what the power of technology brings. So I'll tell you, from a corporate Fortune 500 perspective, we have helped our clients, which are primarily, like I said, healthcare organizations, even though we've dabbled in other industries. We've done projects in the energy and the oil and gas sector because, quite honestly, I am in Texas. So, oil and gas is almost inevitable. So we've done projects in that space. We've also worked in the waste industry with, one of the leading waste management companies in America, which is Waste Management. So we've definitely performed services in different industries, but healthcare is really our sweet spot. And it's really helping healthcare organizations meet the needs of their members. Across the projects that we've worked on over the past 12 years or so, we've been able to touch over 56 million lives with our solutions, whether it is developing solutions for care management or developing solutions for disease management or behavioral health or utilization. So that's on the corporate side. On the small and medium business side, which is truly, where I think I get to have the most impact, or at least at a personal level, I feel the impact greater when I am able to help a small business, whether it is a hair salon, when I'm able to create a solution that allows them to create excellent service for their clients, or whether it is a lifestyle coach or a business coach, and I'm helping them to be able to scale their business and provide service that is an elevated experience for their clients. And or it may be a construction management company who needs, dashboarding or business intelligence to be able to manage all of the construction projects that they have across their book of business and everything in between. So at this level for AndTech X, which is really just a derivative of AndTech Solutions, the larger company, AndTech X is really able to create solutions for small and medium businesses.
Fantastic. And of course, if we talk about the tech industry, there is so much, it's been reported widely that the huge diversity problem there, and things are improving, but there is still so much work to be done, of course. And I'm curious, from your own experiences, what are some of the ways that you've overcome barriers and stigmas of being an African-American woman in technology, and how have you seen things change over the years?
So I will say yes, things are improving, but there are still, so many. You could tell the 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 difference. Not only is technology primarily a male-dominated industry, so as a woman, just being able to show up as the best version of myself so that I can always be looked at from a posture of expertise, right? That I'm able to be seen as as necessary and viable and worthy of the space that I occupy. And then even secondarily to that, being an African American woman, really feeling like, no matter how fair or unfair we think it is, always having to be one step ahead of the game just so that I could feel like I'm playing on a level playing field, right? So always being able to stay on top of my game, show with excellence, and live out loud so that I am truly representing the value that others bring, even if others is outside of what seems to be the norm. So just being able to show that that there is value in all of us. And that's the biggest thing, is making sure that people see those that are not necessarily like what the traditions and the normals are, that we are at least giving them an opportunity to show their value. And this is actually a challenge that I face daily in this patriarchal type society that we live in. And just being able to navigate the waters as a woman and as an African American woman, and to really be able to just speak boldly, stand up boldly, and make sure that when I leave, there is people know that there was a presence there, right? That I was there, that I represented, and that I delivered.
And what makes your story even more impressive is you did mention that you didn't have a college degree. So I'm curious, how did you find yourself in that tech space with no formal education? Because it is just phenomenal what you've achieved. And I love you for what you've done, because I was someone that was in a similar position as well. So it's so good to see what you've done here. But can you expand on that?
Yes, definitely. So with everything, as I mentioned, my upbringing, with everything that was going on in my life, I was still very much into my books when I was in school. And at the time of graduation from high school, I had scholarship offers to go off to college. I had a lot of scholarship offers on the table to some of the top engineering programs in not only the state of Texas, but in the country, because that's where my career goals were at that point. When I was a senior in high school, I really thought I was going to be an engineer, that I was going to use this technology and my love for math and science. So I've been a STEM girl since before STEM was the thing, right? But I always knew that I wanted to be in that space: science, technology, engineering, mathematics, all of that. So, however, when it was time to make a decision about leaving, I could imagine leaving my siblings. My mother, unfortunately, throughout my childhood was addicted to drugs. And even though I'm not the oldest of my siblings, I was always the one that stepped up, and I just could not imagine going off to school and leaving my siblings. So I never went to college. But what that meant was, and what I recognized was, that because I did not go off to get that formal education and to do all of that, that meant I had to work that much harder. Even today, still today, I have a philosophy of learning something new every day. I literally teach myself something new every day. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be in the technology space. This is in life generally, especially in my industry and what I do for a living. I'm definitely always on top of the latest technology, and I'm teaching myself stuff in that area. But I have a philosophy, and I make sure that my team and those that I employ and those that support me, that we all have a philosophy that we're learning something new every day in life, in business, in relationships, and across the board. So I think carrying that philosophy across all of these years is what has allowed me to still stand in this space without that formal education.
I absolutely love that and champion everything you just said. I couldn't agree more. And you have had an inspiring career in technology, and we are navigating through a period at the moment of great instability, uncertainty, and I think we need to be more resilient and prepare to be more resilient in the future as well, more than ever, especially as we're working differently and having to think differently. So for people that are just going to be coming up to problems and challenges for the first time, is there any tips or advice on how they can safeguard themselves against or even rebound from shifts in their lives?
Yeah, I would definitely say, I'm glad you said rebound, because we can't shield ourselves from the challenges and even dealing with what we're dealing with now, not only where I am, but also where you are, and knowing that the world is changing. The thing that I would say is to remember that there's always going to be challenges. It's either going to be the one you're currently dealing with, one you just came from, or the one you're going into. So there are going to always be challenges. But at the end of the day, remembering your why. And when you remember your why, it allows you to, kind of experience whatever it is you're going to experience, allow yourself to feel in the situation and in the moment, but quickly shift your mindset to know that, listen, this too shall pass. And what is it that I'm going to do to ensure that I'm going to be successful on the other side of this? Is it going to be easy? No. Is it going to feel good? Definitely not. But I can and I will make it to the other side. And if we know that success is the only option, then that allows us to operate differently. It allows us to respond differently. It allows us to shift and pivot differently if we need to, if we know that success is the only option.
And you said a few moments ago that you like to try and learn something every day. And I also say you should try and learn something from every person that you meet. And I'm sure you've met a lot of people that have inspired you throughout your career. So I'm curious, are there any impactful pieces of advice that you've received over the years that you could possibly share with the audience that help keep you performing at high levels? Yeah,
it's been some amazing people that have come into my experience, those that I am eternally grateful for those who have believed in me when no one else would, for those who have encouraged me when no one else would, and for those who have given me opportunities when no one else would. So I would say that one of the best pieces of advice that I've received and that I still stick to each and every day, I remember one of my mentors, and this was when I first got to a point where I was, where I understood the value of investing in mentorship and all of that. I remember her asking me a question, and the question, even though it had a question mark behind it, the way I received it had an exclamation point behind it, literally. And she said, "Why not you?" Yeah. And I took that. It was so rhetorical in nature, but it literally hit me like a ton of bricks. Why not me? And then I even internalized it. And for me, it became, of course, me. Of course, me. And I think that was it was literally one of the most impactful things that I had ever been asked or told, because it was one and the same for me at that moment. And I've literally just kept that. So it helps me during those times where, quite naturally we get to a point where, a lot of people are talking about this imposter syndrome lately and all of that. Whenever I feel myself, kind of shrinking or or kind of pulling myself away because I feel like it's too big, I always say, why not me?
Yeah.
And I make sure that I follow that up with, of course, me. Of course.
Absolutely love that. And of course, at the moment, our world has changed so much. Gone are the days where we used to leave the office at 5 p.m. and then forget about it until we got back in the office the following morning. We're now working from anywhere, everywhere, and on any device. And it can feel like we're being bombarded by all directions with those dreaded notification sounds on our phones. So I've got to ask, how do you maintain your balanced rhythm and find that balance in the world right now?
I'll tell you, it's boundaries, really.
Yeah.
Literally setting boundaries and making sure that those around you understand what those boundaries are. I have intentionally updated all the notifications on my phone, so they are strategically labeled, right? Or, I have specific sounds for specific things so that I know if I hear them, I immediately know if it's something that I need to run to. Because, with these smartphones, you can literally be glued to your phone all the time if you allow that.
Yeah.
So I have gone in and like I said, I know the sounds that will get my attention, and those are the ones that I will literally drop stuff for and pick up what that is and respond to or acknowledge that alert. But there are some that I know, okay, it's there. I don't necessarily have to address it now, but I have been made aware of it. So I've kind of done that, and I know for me, I had to do that because otherwise it'll force you to look at every alert, and that just kind of throws you off, right?
Yeah.
And there are some that you don't set an alert to at all. It's not audible at all. It has no tone. It has nothing, because those are the ones that could get you off track. And before you know it, you've gone down a rabbit hole and it has distracted you from what you were supposed to be focusing on, which was your priority. So that's one thing. Secondly, and again, everybody talks about self-care, but very few people are intentional about it. So I know that if I am going to give all of me in every situation, that means I need to be full enough to be able to make a deposit from myself, right? So because if I'm empty already, and then I'm trying to give of myself to something or someone, then that's going to create a negative balance, a deficit, a deficiency. So I make sure that I'm always full. And that looks different ways to me. I've actually built a house on the lake right outside north of Houston. And I've created this space for myself that is solace for me. And I make sure that I allow myself to take the time to refresh and renew. And that's important for me. And then I've learned the art of saying no, Neil. And I could say it in a lot of different ways, but I've learned the art of saying no.
Oh, man, I love that. And where do you go from here, though? And what makes you hopeful and maybe even excited about the future and where we're heading and the role that your technology will play in that?
Oh, my goodness, nowhere but up. Like literally nowhere but up. There is so much opportunity that all of these challenges have done nothing but expose brand new opportunities. And that's how we have to look at it. It's truly a mindset. You can decide to look at it as, oh, it's me, we're on lockdown and we're this and we can't do this and all of that. Or you can look at it as the revelation of new opportunities. How can I now take advantage of this? Because we have to recognize that yesterday is no more. Like what used to be normal is literally not normal anymore. So what are you going to do with this new dynamic and this new phenomenon, and really just take hold of it and grasping the opportunity and seizing it at this moment? So for me, the future looks just bright. And when I think about it from a technology perspective, it's really just making sure that people recognize the power of leveraging technology. I literally don't care what you're doing. You don't even have to be an entrepreneur, but everything you do in life, there is an element of technology that can help you make it better, that could help you become more efficient, that can help you become more relevant in some instances. So all I'm doing is capitalizing on what's new, making sure that I keep my ears to the street, and that I'm always on top of what's new, knowing that it's going to be fleeting and stuff is changing all of the time. So making sure that I'm in a posture where I'm so fluid that when stuff starts moving, I'm not knocked off of my kilter. I may be, kind of startled initially or whatever, but I'm not knocked off of my kilter because I can quickly balance myself, steady and still myself, and then move with the tides. So that's what I am. I'm just leaving myself open and allowing every opportunity to come into my experience.
Inspirational stuff there. And I do like to leave every episode or end every episode with some inspirational songs that I put on a Spotify playlist where every guest will nominate one song that's helped them in their career, been the soundtrack to their life, or even just helps them get their head in the zone before going on stage to deliver one of those killer keynotes. But is there a particular song that would spring to mind for you, and why would you choose that song?
Okay, Neil. So I actually have a couple, but I'll tell you the one that just really gets me there. Like I don't like before I'm going in to pitch this big deal, before I am going to sit on a panel to speak to and to encourage others. The song for me, it's actually a rap song. It's a hip hop song. It's by T.I. And the name of it is actually called Motivation. That's the name of the song, Motivation. And first of all, I am a music lover. I love all types of music. And it is the beat for me. Like I'm into beats and rhythms and ripples and all of that stuff with music. But so this song has this amazing beat. So even if I listened to it instrumental, it still gets me there. But when I think about the words, he's really saying ultimately, and there's one line in there that says, I'm gonna really mess up the lyric, the verse, but he's literally saying it's only gonna make me tougher and stronger. It's not gonna kill me. It's not gonna kill me. It's only gonna make me tougher and stronger. And it also says that others need to get on their game if they think they're gonna knock me off of mine. You need to try again. You literally need to think about it and try again, because what you thought was gonna knock me off my game did not. So I just love the tones of it. Now, of course, he didn't say it exactly like that, and there are a few expletives in there, but it speaks to me, because what that says is every time somebody has told me what I couldn't do and what I can't be and who I can't be, and how dare she, every time I have come out on the other side, and I am grateful for that. So yeah, Motivation by T.I. is my song.
Absolutely. Love that. Sounds to me like that's going to be racing towards track one on the playlist. You've sold it to me. But before I let you go, for anyone that would like to get in touch with you, your team, or learn anything more about AndTech Solutions and the work you're doing, what's the best starting point to do that?
I think it would definitely be my my website. So AndTech Solutions is andtechllc.com. And AndTechX also is andtechx.com. And I also, Neil, just started this new initiative just, this year, where I realized the greatness that has happened in my life and all that I've been able to achieve. So I just started this business mentorship, and it's called Beyond Belief. because literally my business and my life has been beyond belief. So I have a new business mentorship program called Beyond Belief Experience, and folks can find that at beyondbeliefbusiness.com.
Well, I've loved chatting with you today. I'll make sure those links go onto the show notes that will accompany this episode. The things that really stand out for me is your tricks to overcome life's hurdles and challenges, especially right now, and also encouraging African American women to succeed in tech, and also ways of building resilience in business, no matter what the circumstances. Pure gold from me. I've loved chatting with you. I'd love to meet you in person when I make it to Texas, when they allow me to fly again. Cigars and bourbon on me, and we'll make a night of it. But thank you so much for joining me.
Oh my goodness, I'm looking forward to it, Neil.
Wow. What makes this story even more impressive is that today's guest has done it with grit, hard work, and as a self-made businesswoman with no formal higher education or college degree. But she has gone on to hold Women's Business Enterprise, Minority Business Enterprise, and historically underutilised business certifications, and sits on the exec board of CSTEM, an organisation whose mission it is to inspire the next generation of innovators and thought leaders. And for me, this and so much more are the reasons I want to get out of bed in the morning and share stories like this with everyone in the world. But I also want to hear your stories too. So please email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram at Neil C. Hughes. My website is techblogwriter.co.uk. I invite each and every one of you, if you've got a great story in the tech industry and you'd like to share it with the world, this is your true calling now to make that happen. But I'm out of time now, so a big thank you for listening as always, and until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.